Pittsburgh Steelers become the first franchise in history.
Good morning. What a finish. The Pittsburgh Steelers are crowned Super Bowl champs after defeating the Arizona Cardinals in a classic game that went down to the wire. Today exclusive, after our Super Bowl Sunday interview, we talked more with President Barack Obama. What you didn't hear before the big game about his plans to fix the economy, the war in Afghanistan, and life at the nation's most famous address.
Has there been any surprise in terms of life in the White House?
And taking a hit, Michael Phelps is apparently caught smoking marijuana in a controversial photo. The Olympic champ is calling his actions regrettable today, Monday, February 2nd, 2009.
From NBC News, this is a special edition of Today with Matt Lauer, live in Washington, D.C., and Meredith Vieira, live in Tampa, Florida.
And good morning. Welcome to Today on a Monday morning, kind of a sleepy Monday morning. I'm Matt Lauer in Washington.
And I'm Meredith Vieira in Tampa, and I got to tell you, Matt, what a game. Congratulations to the Steelers and their fans. They pulled out a 27-23 victory over the Cardinals last night. One of the most exciting Super Bowls ever. And I got to tell you also, Matt, I am probably the best mom in America today, the coolest for sure, because I brought my son Gabriel to this game with a couple of friends to celebrate his graduation.
Oh,
so I'm
he
dining
must have
out on that this morning.
absolutely loved that.
He had a great, well, I don't know if he had a great time. I haven't talked to him yet, but I think he had a great time. It was fantastic. I only stayed, Matt, till halftime through Bruce Springsteen, who was phenomenal. And then it was getting late for me. I needed to get back, so I missed that fourth quarter, which was unbelievable.
And so you left your son alone at the game. You really are the best mom in America. Way to go.
We had a few friends, yeah.
All right. Well, it really was one for the record books. The Steelers' record-setting 6th victory in the title game. For head coach Mike Tomlin, he becomes the youngest coach to ever win a Super Bowl and just the second African-American coach to accomplish that feat. And Meredith, President Obama has reason to boast this morning, although he didn't give us the exact score during our exclusive conversation at the White House. He did nail the game's outlook. Take a look. What's the score going to be in this game?
You know, it's tough to predict, but I think the Steelers are going to eke it out in a close one.
Of course, we did not just talk football. The Senate begins debating President Obama's economic recovery plan today. He made a promise during the campaign to withdraw troops from Iraq within 16 months. And then there's his family business, adjusting to life in the White House with Michelle, Sasha, and Malia. We're going to hear from the president on all those subjects throughout the morning, Meredith.
Matt, we're also going to talk about those octuplets who were born a week ago in California. Over the weekend, some new details have come to light about their mother, who already has 6 other children. Her own mom now says that her daughter was obsessed about having kids. We're going to have the very latest on that. And we're also going to talk a little bit more about Super Bowl 43, the other thing that drew people to the television sets, and obviously those were the ads. We're going to take a look at the ones that are sure to be talked about around the water cooler this morning. But first, for the second time in 4 years, Pittsburgh is title town. Thousands of fans poured into the streets last night to celebrate that incredible 6th Super Bowl victory. And our own Tiki Barber is here to give us the highlights of the game. What a game, Tiki.
It was an unbelievable game to watch and to be at. And for what was at stake, I mean, Jennifer Hudson started off singing, Faith Hill sang America the Beautiful. So the entertainment at the beginning was great. And then the game itself was so much at stake. Pittsburgh winning their 6th title, which is an NFL record, and Bruce Springsteen at halftime. You couldn't have asked for anything else from a Super Bowl.
Where would you rank it, Tiki?
You know, I think this one is right up there with at the top. It's definitely the most memorable for all the things that I said, but there were some huge plays that happened in this game. First of all, right before halftime, there was an 100-yard interception by linebacker James Harrison of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it may have been the greatest defensive play in Super Bowl history. And then for Larry Fitzgerald to have that come from behind. There's great long drives, there's a lot of hard hitting, and some big plays, and it came down to the end. You really could not have asked for anything else if you were watching this game. I feel sorry for you and Mark, who went home at halftime and missed watching this second half.
Well, you know, after the first half, I think a lot of people weren't sure whether this was going to be a blowout or not.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't know what was going to happen. It was a little bit slow, and it sped up after we left, of course. Thank you, Tiki.
Thank you.
Great game. Let's head back to Matt.
All right, Meredith, thank you very much. And now to our exclusive interview with President Barack Obama. We sat down with the president at the White House for a wide-ranging conversation. First up, the economy. After failing to win a single House Republican vote for his stimulus plan, I asked the president if he's worried about his promise to build bipartisanship in Washington.
Oh, listen, it's only been 10 days. People have to recognize that it's going to take some time for trust to be built, not only between Democrats and Republicans, but between Congress and the White House, between the House and the Senate. We've had a dysfunctional political system for a while now.
You were pretty agitated this past week when the news broke of these Wall Street bonuses paid out in 2008, even as some of the firms that paid them out had their hands out looking for federal assistance. Is there an audit underway right now, or can there be an audit that takes place to make sure that none of the taxpayers' monies goes to anything but stabilizing these firms?
That's what I've asked my Treasury Secretary to do, to put together a clear set of guidelines. If a bank or a financial institution is getting relief, then they've got to abide by certain conditions.
The American people might worry that the bailout, could be off course, because if the money's going to people who simply are out of touch, it's not a confidence builder.
Right. Well, and that's why it's my job as president and Congress's job to make sure that there's some rules of the road that people are going to abide by, and that we've got transparency and accountability, that this stuff is being posted. And one of the things that we're going to do is put together an independent board on the recovery package that actually looks at these programs and the money before it goes out the door.
It seems like somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 to $350 billion in TARP money has already gone out and been spent. And you're hearing more and more people saying it's going to take much, much more. I'm curious, though, have you heard anyone credible be able to put a real figure on how much it's going to take to fix this? And B, who can say, and this money will work. It will fix the economy.
Here's what I've heard from a range of economists across the political spectrum. The banks, because of mismanagement, because of huge risk-taking, are now in very vulnerable positions. We can expect that we're going to have to do more to shore up the financial system. We also are going to have to make sure that we set up financial regulations so that not only does this never happen again, but you start having some sort of trust in how the credit markets work again. I do have confidence that we're going to be able to get it right, but it's not going to be overnight, and there's no silver bullets to this. The fact of the matter is that we are suffering from a massive hangover from a binge of risk-taking.
And it's still getting worse.
And that's still getting worse, and it's going to take some time for us to be able to dig ourselves out of this hole.
Are you planning in the near future to announce an idea that will buy up the toxic debt from the balance sheets of these banks with perhaps a so-called bad bank? And if so, what do you think that could cost? Because Chuck Schumer came out and said, since we don't really know what those debts are worth, this could cost $4 trillion.
No, we're not going to be spending $4 trillion worth of taxpayer money. It's conceivable that we have more, not only is it conceivable, it is likely that the banks have not fully acknowledged all the losses that they're going to experience. They're going to have to write down those losses, and some banks won't make it. Other banks are going to make sure that we strengthen. All deposits are going to be safe for ordinary people, but we're going to have to wring out some of these bad assets.
Are you going to set up a bad bank, or whatever it would be called?
Yeah, I don't want to preempt an announcement next week, and there's a lot of technical aspects to it, and if I say that we're doing one thing, then the markets might interpret it differently from what it ends up being. But the basic principle that we're going to have to see some of this debt written down, that the government is going to have to support some banks, that others that are not viable, essentially, that we're going to have to do something with those assets.
At some point, will you say, wait a minute, we've spent this amount of money, we're not seeing the results, we've got to change course dramatically? Yeah.
Look, I'm at the start of my administration. One nice thing about the situation I find myself in is that I will be held accountable. I've got 4 years.
You're going to know quickly how people feel about what's happening.
That's exactly right. And a year from now, I think people are going to see that we're starting to make some progress, but there's still going to be some pain out there. If I don't have this done in 3 years, then there's going to be a one-term proposition.
Let me go on quickly, if I can, to some other subjects. You signed an executive order in your first week that says you'll close the military detention center at Guantanamo within a year. So the clock is ticking. And already you've heard the criticism that you don't know what you're going to do with the 245 prisoners being held there.
It's the right thing to do. Ultimately, it will make us safer. You've already seen in the reaction around the world a different sense of America by us taking this action.
Some of these people may be released, the ones that seem to be less of a threat, but if one of those people that's released goes back and takes part in the planning of or carrying out of an attack against U.S. interests, you're going to have a Willie Horton times 100 situation on your hands. How are you going to deal with that?
Of course I'm worried about it. Look, I have to make the very best judgments I can make in terms of what's going to keep the American people safe and is what's going to uphold our Constitution and our traditions of due process. If we don't uphold our Constitution and our values, that over time that will make us less safe, and that will be a recruitment tool for organizations like Al-Qaeda. That's what I've got to keep my eye on.
Let me ask you about Afghanistan. Defense Secretary Robert Gates said this is going to be a long slog and that it's our greatest military challenge. You're going to send 30,000 additional U.S. troops in there. Can that make a difference in a country that's had 2,000 years of trouble and it's been called the graveyard of empires?
We are not going to be able to rebuild Afghanistan into a Jeffersonian democracy.
So what's the mission there now?
What we can do is make sure that Afghanistan is not a safe haven for Al-Qaeda. What we can do is make sure that it is not destabilizing neighboring Pakistan, which has nuclear weapons. The key is we've got to have a clear objective, and there's been drift in Afghanistan over the last couple of years. That's something that we intend to fix this year.
There was an article in the Washington Post that some of the big donors who were invited to some of your inaugural functions were, I think the word they used was shocked by how easy it was to get access to you. And they expressed concerns that not enough was being done to secure you.
I have complete confidence in Secret Service. These guys and gals are unbelievably professional. They know what they're doing, and I basically do what they tell me to do. Now, sometimes I'm the first one to admit that it chafes a little bit being inside this bubble. It's the hardest adjustment of being president, not being able to just take a walk.
I watched you walk down the halls a couple of times, and there's someone in front of you and someone behind you.
That's exactly right. So it's tough, but I have complete confidence in their ability to keep me safe.
There's been a massive peanut butter products recall in this country over the last several weeks. Most of the products traced to one plant down in Georgia that has a bit of a history of sending out products even though there have been traces of salmonella found. The obvious question people want to know, is the FDA doing its job?
Well, I think that the FDA has not been able to catch some of these things as quickly as I expect them to catch. And so we're going to be doing a complete review of FDA operations. At bare minimum, we should be able to count on our government keeping our kids safe when they eat peanut butter. That's what Sasha eats for lunch, probably 3 times a week. And I don't want to have to worry about whether she's going to get sick as a consequence of having her lunch.
That is President Barack Obama coming from the map room at the White House. And we're going to have more of our interview with the president coming up in our next half hour. But for now, let's get a check of the morning's top stories from Ann Curry, who's at the news desk back in New York. Ann, good morning to you.
Hey, Matt. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Also in the news this morning, gunmen in Pakistan kidnapped a top American official with the United Nations Refugee Office and killed his driver today. He was abducted in broad daylight on his way to work in the city of Quetta. There was no immediate claim of responsibility, but Islamist militants are blamed for an increase of kidnappings in Pakistan's border region with Afghanistan. Meantime, in southern Afghanistan, the Taliban is claiming responsibility for an attack inside a police training center today that killed at least 21 people. Witnesses said that suicide bomber wore a police uniform. During the night, more bombs from Israel on what officials are saying Hamas smuggling tunnels along Gaza's border with Egypt. This after militants in Gaza fired at least 10 rockets and mortar shells into Israel. The president's pick for Health and Human Services Secretary is apologizing for errors in previous tax returns, saying he is deeply embarrassed. Today, Tom Daschle goes back before members of the Senate Finance Committee about the errors that prompted him to pay $140,000 in back taxes and penalties. markets. Overseas markets are sharply lower over new concerns about the economy. CNBC's Melissa Francis is at the New York Stock Exchange this morning. Melissa, what exactly are those concerns?
Well, it's pretty simple. They're focused on economies around the world contracting. That has markets very worried. Today, the markets are focused also on some data on industrial production and also consumer spending. We could use some good news. The S&P off to its worst start in history, down 9% in January. The Dow down about the same percentage. Markets had been looking forward to a plan from the president about how to deal with those toxic assets still weighing down banks' balance sheets. But as you heard in that interview with Matt, that plan right now is on hold. And back to you.
All right, Melissa Francis this morning. Melissa, thank you. And a volcano erupted in Japan today, sending smoke high into the air and ash falling onto Tokyo about 90 miles an hour. Dramatic pictures here. There were no reports of any injuries from that eruption on Mount Asama. It is now 7:16. Let's now go back to Tampa now, where Meredith and Al are standing by. Hey, guys.
Hey, I'm glad you made it home nice and safe and sound.
Yep.
First check of the weather to Roker.
That's right. Well, we've got some showers in the Gulf Coast, part of a storm system that we're keeping an eye on, worried that it might cause a little bit of a nor'easter. It's going to bring rain mostly to the Gulf Coast. You can see the showers and thunderstorms firing up from New Orleans to here in Tampa. As we take a look, rainfall amounts, especially in parts of northern Florida, could pick up about an inch of rain. The heaviest stuff, though, is going to be offshore. That system moves up and out into the Atlantic. We were worried about it as a nor'easter later on tomorrow. That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
Good Monday morning, everybody. As we take a look at your forecast for today, another beautiful one shaping up. Lots of sunshine in the forecast, warm, windy conditions, a good 10 degrees warmer along the coast today with highs in the upper 70s, low 80s downtown and in the valleys. Looking for some windy conditions as well tomorrow, and then perhaps not as much of that wind to talk about by Wednesday. We are going to be seeing some changes by the latter part of the week, some rain in the forecast developing, especially for Friday and Saturday.
And that's your latest weather, Meredith.
Where were you in the fourth quarter, Al?
I was actually in a bar watching.
There you go.
The game.
So you were ready to walk out, right? And
I was. We had said check. We were getting ready to leave after Fitzgerald's fabulous catch, and hold on.
Yeah, people had said it wasn't going to be that great, Tiki, but it was phenomenal.
I need to reprimand all of you all for going home. This is literally one of the greatest
I know.
Well, you thought we had to go to bed.
It literally was a game that was worth sticking around for because there was so much excitement. In the second half, Arizona receiver Larry Fitzgerald led a furious Cardinals charge with 2 big touchdowns in the fourth quarter that put Arizona ahead 23-20.
Fitzgerald into Steeler territory. 30, 20, 10. Arizona has the lead.
But with only 35 seconds to play, Arizona's chance for the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history was snuffed out by a 6-yard touchdown pass to Super Bowl MVP Santonio Holmes.
These your kids?
Yeah, man, these are my kids, man.
What's it like to share this with them?
It's definitely special in my eyes. Throughout the rest of, my life and their life, they're definitely going to, see, that their dad, did something special.
For Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin, it was another racial barrier broken in America, the second black coach in 3 years to win a Super Bowl.
Tony Dungy was the first black head coach won a Super Bowl. He was one of your mentors.
I'm sure he's smiling, and that makes me feel good. Those that work for Coach, man, I always want to please them. And the thought of that is what I think about as I stand here today, which is pretty cool.
So what's the lesson? Stay around to the end of the game.
As you said, even though it's big plays, football really is a game of inches.
It really is a game of inches. All the big plays, the hits, the tackles, and everything. It's a game of inches in most games.
Felt bad for Kurt Warner, though.
Yeah.
He really
Kurt Warner had a great
He did have a great
And so did his wide receiver, Larry Fitzgerald. He had a great game in the second half, and we have a piece with him coming up.
It is so emotional.
Yeah.
People, you've got to stay tuned for
Something to look forward to. Okay, let's head back to Matt in Washington.
All right, Meredith, thank you very much. And now to the latest on those octuplets born 1 week ago in California. As the babies grow, so too does the controversy surrounding their mother. NBC's Michael Oku has been following the story. Michael, good morning to you.
Good morning, Matt. If the octuplets make it through the day, it would be a first. No full set of octuplets has survived longer than a week. In the meantime, hospital officials here say that the octuplets are thriving, all of them breathing unassisted and bottle feeding on donated breast milk. They also happen to be the subject of endless, heated conversation. As medical staff care for the octuplets, now a week old, News the mother already had 6 children has sparked debate in the medical community as well as on the streets.
How's she going to keep all those kids clean and clean diapers? I don't know how she's going to do it.
Remember those 8 babies?
Even
Whatever
on talk
happened?
radio.
This story took an ugly turn right away.
This weekend, more revelations about 33-year-old Nadia Suleiman, the single mother from Whittier, California. The octuplets' grandmother says Suleiman has long been obsessed with having children and that she had all 14 of her kids in vitro. Angela Suleiman says her daughter became pregnant with the octuplets after she had frozen embryos left over from previous pregnancies transferred to her uterus. Part of her motivation, she didn't want them destroyed. That, and according to the grandmother in an interview with the Los Angeles Times, she was hoping for just one more girl. It's over now, the grandmother told the AP. It has to be. It can't go on any longer. So how did a mother of 6 get medical help to have another 8?
If I felt that this was not a good decision, that she didn't really understand the impact of this decision on her family, then I would send her for counseling.
Fertility specialist Dr. Arthur Wissott says Nadia Suleiman's family size should have been a red flag to any doctor providing treatment. But what's more, to transfer 8 embryos to any patient, if in fact that was done, ignores medical guidelines.
Under the age of 35, the usual number of embryos to be transferred is 2. And very often now we're even putting only 1 back. So do the math. This is way out of bounds.
Complicated births and preemie care can cost up to $400,000 per baby.
And if you add a third or a fourth, it's not, doubled or tripled. It could rise exponentially.
That's potentially more than $3 million for 8 newborns. The grandmother says that there was one donor for all 14 children, but would not say who exactly that father is, Matt.
All right, Michael Oku, thank you very much. And still to come on a Monday morning, an apology from the golden boy of the Beijing Olympic Games, Michael Phelps, after a photo surfaces of the swimmer apparently smoking marijuana. We'll have details, but first, this is Today on NBC.
Being here in Chicago and then being okay.
Still to come, the best of the best, those Super Bowl ads. I forgot to ask you, Matt, were you with the president to watch the game?
No. I was back in a hotel room watching it, but laughing out loud at some of those commercials, Meredith, so I look forward to that. And from Washington, how is the Obama family liking life in the White House? Much more of our exclusive.
You're looking live at Los Angeles International Airport. Good morning, I'm Beverly White. Police are holding a man in custody this morning for a fatal hit and run that left an 11-month-old girl dead and injured her mother and her 5-year-old sister. Today in LA's Robert Kovacic has the story.
Bev, 30-year-old Henry Moreno was arrested last night at 11:30, just 5 hours after the accident happened. How did the LAPD find their suspect so quickly? He abandoned his car after plowing through that crosswalk where the mother was pushing the cart with her 2 young daughters. The driver of a black Honda just keeps going. Now, this is surveillance video from the LA Live Plaza in downtown. It shows the driver getting out of the car and then running away. Police get to the car and then find Moreno 1 block from where the accident happened. The resident of Southgate is booked for vehicular manslaughter, responsible for killing a girl not even a year old. In the Westlake District, I'm Robert Kovacic. Bev, that's the latest from here.
Thanks, Robert. Let's check our roadways now. Here's Paul Johnson.
And how we take a look at the crush cam. 57 freeway southbound. Very heavy traffic now as you head down past the 22 or the Garden Grove Freeway. More trouble on the 10 Santa Monica Freeway, this time eastbound. This is right at Normandy Avenue. Injury accident, center divider left lane, traffic heavy back to Crenshaw. Be careful. Weather comes up in a moment.
7:29 on a Monday morning. Welcome back. We've got a beautiful live look at the Long Beach area. A little bit of haze out there, otherwise mostly clear skies. Now this afternoon, we are anticipating some warmer temperatures, especially along the coast, maybe 3 to 5 degrees of warming around downtown and the warmest valley locations, and some changes by the end of the week.
Good morning again, Matt.
Hey, good morning again to you. The band, man, they've been around for about, 4 decades now, but they still know how to get a crowd going, don't they? What I like most, first of all, I love the songs they chose, but they all look like they were having such a good time, Meredith.
Absolutely. From my vantage point, that's exactly what I saw. You know what? He did not phone it in. He came to play. He was full of energy, a big smile on his face. He got the crowd going. And it really was a great way to start the second half.
Yeah, you know, he doesn't phone it in ever. I mean, remember when he was on our show and he was out on the plaza rehearsing at 5:30 in the morning and he had everybody as much energy as he did during the show? He's something. Anyway, it was fun to watch.
Absolutely. We actually talked to Max Weinberg the night before, and he was so excited to be doing the halftime. So it was a great show.
And I saw Paul Schaefer there with a little cameo appearance, which was cool also. Anyway, coming up in this half hour, the controversial photo that shows Olympic hero Michael Phelps apparently smoking marijuana. Just ahead, what he has to say about that picture. Also ahead, much more of our exclusive interview with President Barack Obama. I asked him about making the move to the White House on a personal level. You know, he's back under the same roof as his wife and children for the first time in 2 years. He went home a lot during the campaign, but now they're together 24 hours a day, basically. So how's the family adjusting to that? We'll hear what President Obama has to say in just a couple of minutes, Meredith.
And Matt, also, there was a lot of drama on the field here in Tampa, but for folks at home, the drama centered around all those ads during the Super Bowl. Which spots stood out and which companies would have been better off saving that $3 million for a 30-second spot? We're going to break down the best and the worst of the bunch. Back to you, Matt.
All right, Meredith, thanks. Let's start, though, with the fallout from that photo of Michael Phelps. He's now released a statement calling his behavior regrettable. This is a familiar photo of Michael Phelps gracing the cover of Sports Illustrated following an historic performance at the Beijing Olympics. But this photo could tarnish that golden boy image. Michael Phelps reportedly smoking marijuana at a party.
This kind of thing is harder for his image to sustain than someone with a bad boy image. If he was Kid Rock, this wouldn't be a problem. You know, Kid Rock wouldn't lose any endorsements over this picture. Michael Phelps might.
The British tabloid News of the World posted the photo, reportedly taken this past November, just 3 months after Phelps swam his way into the history books, winning an unprecedented 8 gold medals in Beijing. In a statement released Sunday, Phelps said, quote, "I acted in a youthful and inappropriate way, not in a manner that people have come to expect from me. For this, I am sorry." Legal experts say he could even face charges based on the photo.
If he pleads guilty as a first offender, he's not going to go to jail. He may not even get probation, but they're going to have to test him for drug use, because if that is going to prevent him from competing, they're going to have to know.
This isn't the first time Phelps has faced a public relations challenge. 4 years ago, after competing at the Athens Olympics, he pleaded guilty to drunk driving and was given 18 months probation. I spoke with him about that on Today.
The mistake that I made is a big mistake. And, you know, this is something that every single morning I have to wake up and you know, I look at myself in the mirror and I have to live with the mistake that I made.
But this time, the consequences could be even more severe, if not in the court of law, then in the court of public opinion.
This, on top of the drunk driving incident when he was 19, is not a good pattern. And, you know, I think he could probably survive a second one. I don't think he would survive a third one. I think people are forgiving to a point.
Now, the U.S. Olympic Committee released this statement on Sunday, quote, "Michael is a role model and he's well aware of the responsibilities and accountability that come with setting a positive example for others, particularly young people. In this instance, regrettably, he failed to fulfill those responsibilities." Let's get a check of the weather now from Al in Tampa.
Today's weather is brought to you by K Jewelers. This Valentine's Day, surprise her with diamonds from K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K.
And happy Groundhog's Day. That's right. Punxsutawney Phil in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Yes, he saw his shadow. All right, we've got a CGI Phil this year. That is very cool. Cloudy 27. Get back here. Where'd he go? So we got 6 more weeks of winter. Let's take a look, show you what's going on for tomorrow. Look at that. We do have winter. Snow squalls, snow showers in the northeast. We've got some rain in the Pacific Northwest. Sunny and cool through the southeast. Warm Texas on into the southwest. Nice animation, guys. That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
All right, thanks, Al. Looking at the 57 freeway southbound. This is right before Imperial Highway. Accident there, now clear to the right shoulder. Still going to find a little spectator slowdown. Be careful out there. Let's check the weather. Here's Anita.
All right, thanks, Paul. A windy and warm afternoon shaping up across Southern California this morning. A little bit breezy, especially below the passes and canyon areas. Now this afternoon, we're looking at highs along the coast in the 70s, low 80s downtown and in the valleys. Cooler by the end of the week.
And Matt. That's your latest weather. If you want more weather information, don't forget to check out the Weather Channel, cable, or weather.com online. And Matt, how cool, Jack getting a shout out from the president yesterday.
Yeah, my son was here because we watched the Super Bowl together last night, so he actually went to the White House, and the president did mention him during the live interview. I think his feet have hit the ground. I don't know, but maybe just skimming, if that. Anyway, Al, thanks very much.
Did you
and now
convince
more
Jack
of our
to give you the email?
Now, yeah, I don't know. He's holding back on it right now. He's demanding more time on the Wii to give me the email. Anyway, let's talk more about our exclusive interview with President Barack Obama. After talking about the economy and national security issues, the president gave me a quick tour of his new home, and then we chatted about making the adjustment to life in the White House. Has there been any surprise in terms of life in the White House? Is something that the White House has you didn't think they had, or doesn't have you thought they did have?
You know, the bowling alley doesn't seem to be improving my game. That's the one
Have you
thing
used
I
it?
noticed. We did. We took the kids down, and I wanted to use the bumpers, but Michelle said, oh, that's
It doesn't work. You had the gutters. At least that's good. That's good to know. You're not cheating in bowling. Good.
I'm not.
You're playing horse on the basketball court.
Playing horse on the basketball court. There's a horseshoe pitch out there, so I'm going to have to practice that a little bit.
After 12 days, it's a minuscule amount of time. Are you and Mrs. Obama more or less confident that you can keep a real sense of normalcy in the girls' lives?
You know, I think that we're going to be okay. Look, Malia is 10, so 3 years from now, she's 13. Who knows what happens to teenagers?
Right.
But if there are a pair of kids who can handle this weird fishbowl, it's those two.
The president said he spends more time with his daughters now than he has in the past 2 years.
Nobody's cooler than my two girls. They just seem to take whatever comes with, happiness and steadiness, and they're loving school. They're making friends, and they've already joined some clubs. And Sasha, I think maybe to endear myself to her, she decided she wanted to join a basketball team. So what more could I want?
Are you getting to take part in some of the routines? I was thinking, you've been on the road basically for 2 years, although you got home a lot.
Right.
Now you're all under the same roof, basically for 12 days. Are you there for breakfast? Do you get to read them a story at night, tuck them in bed? How's it going?
It's the best deal of this whole thing is it turns out I've got this nice home office. And at the end of the day, I can come home. Even if I've got more work to do, I can have dinner with them. I can help them with their homework. I can tuck them in. If I've got to go back to the office, I can.
Working long hours, Obama is the first president to use a BlackBerry. Let's talk about the BlackBerry, all right? You got to keep it.
I did.
Can I see it? Do you have it?
I didn't bring it down here.
No?
No, it's like Inspector Gadget. If you touched it, it might blow up.
But I kind of envision that. It's like Q in the James Bond movie. Did he give you like fingerprint recognition technology or something?
That works. It turns into a car if I have to make a quick getaway.
How many people have that email address?
A handful. Look, there are security issues involved, and so we've got to make sure that I'm not creating a situation where potentially people can compromise our systems.
But like world leaders, can they contact you on that BlackBerry?
Typically, world leaders are going to be contacting me through the Oval Office. They know how to reach me there.
Sasha and Malia?
Sasha and Malia can always contact
Oprah?
Well,
maybe. No. You're not going to hook me up, are you?
Matt, do you want one?
No, I want your email address. I want to communicate with you during the game.
I like your son. I might give it to him. I'm not going to give it to you.
Give it to your papa, okay?
You
Let me end on something. Not only did you just become president, obviously that carries a certain amount of fame with it, but you have achieved a certain rock star status outside of that.
Outside of my house.
Yeah, well let me show you. This is the current issue of Us Weekly.
Right.
And here's a great picture of you and Michelle and your daughters. The reason I bring this up, I think it's funny. It's a great picture.
Yeah.
But I want to show you the cover. Look what they did. They took you off the cover. They cut you out of it.
It's a little hurtful.
You got replaced by Jessica Simpson.
Yeah, who's in a weight battle, apparently. Yeah, oh well.
President Obama, it's a pleasure. Thanks for welcoming us to the White House. I just need to make a point here. It wasn't President Obama saying that Jessica Simpson has a weight problem. That's what the headline on the magazine said. So he wasn't passing judgment. He was simply reading something off the cover of that magazine. But we thank him very much for his time. And still to come, we're going to meet the president's inner circle, the movers and shakers behind the scenes at the White House. But up next, did you have a favorite Super Bowl ad? The hits, the misses, everyone's talking about. But first, these messages.
Come on, let's go for a walk.
And welcome back to Tampa at 7:44. Those Super Bowl commercials, they came, you saw, but who conquered? Matt
The most powerful investing machines there is. Join the 1,000 new accounts a day at E-Trade.
They've done babies commercials before, but this one still worked.
Right, and if one baby works, two babies work better. And the dialogue was hilarious. They got it right out there that the economy is subdued, but I think the commercials were more on point. And something like the Pepsi commercial really resonated with like a post-inaugural glow with Bob Dylan and will.i.am.
Well, let's start with that commercial. We're going to run it, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. And may you stay forever young. May you stay forever young.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. And may you have a strong foundation when the winds of change shift. And may your heart always be joyful. And may your song always be sung. Sing it. May you stay forever young.
May you stay forever young.
Every generation refreshes the world.
Cool. You know, that's one of those ads I don't get sick of watching. You know, it's very evocative.
It's really, you know, the new anthem of their new campaign, and it goes back to their core. We talked a few days ago about how the last few years Coke has really taken it to Pepsi in the Super Bowl. Pepsi's back. I mean, this really was a fantastic spot for them to get out there and get back to their core message. It's about the new generation, and connecting the new generation with the new generation of old is really something that's emotional and brings out all the attributes that Pepsi wants about their brand out there.
Talking about young, let's talk about the E-Trade babies discuss brutal economy and E-Trade. That was another commercial you like, focusing on babies, but still fresh. Let's take a look.
Economy's been a little rough, man.
Oh, man, just brutal.
You know, it's times like these that E-Trade can really help you replan your investments. Yep. So, you know, it gives you the tools and research. Take control. Rise up.
Dude,
No.
What?
Stop.
What? I can't flex the golden pipes?
It's not the venue.
It's inspirational.
Any place.
Fine.
Okay, where was
and learn to fly again.
Take control with one of the most powerful investing machines there is. Join the 1,000 new accounts a day at E-Trade.
They've done babies commercials before, but this one still worked.
Right, and if one baby works, two babies work better. And the dialogue was hilarious. They got it right out there that the economy is brutal. And also the technology for the mouth matching has gotten a lot better over the years, so that makes it hilarious.
It is fun. I mean, the continuing characters have been so much about the Super Bowl. It's almost like an inside thing. You feel like you're watching these characters evolve year after year. And so many brands have done that so well, and this is really a great example of that.
You know, there was one commercial that rated very well. #1 of the USA Today ad meter poll, the Crystal Ball sees free Doritos ad, made by two brothers from Indiana, basically both of them unemployed, created for less than $2,000. Take a look at this ad.
Hey, man, what's that?
It's my crystal ball.
It looks like a snow globe.
Nuh-uh, it's real. Here, watch. Free Doritos at the office today? I think that's a yes! Free Doritos!
Will I finally get that big promotion?
Promotion? Not in your future.
You guys didn't like it was like every cliche of a Super Bowl commercial. Getting hit in the crotch. It starts out with theft, and then it's getting hit in the nuts. Boy, that's fun.
But obviously people loved it.
They did. It was very slapstick, and it was great for frat boys. Matt would.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a parody of what people think a Super Bowl commercial should be. It takes elements of what so much of the slapstick things were of the past. And this year, people pulled back a little bit and had a little bit more soulful and toned down message. This stood out as being the cliche, as Barbara said, of a Super Bowl ad. So I think that's why it resonated a bit. But again, as far as the overall message, it's sort of derivative of so many things we've seen in Super Bowl ads before, and was really a parody of those pieces.
They're coming on, the guys who
I
made this commercial.
I know.
Are you going to say that to their face when
some of them, the thing is, some of them cost $2 million to produce. This one cost $2,000. So for $2,000, you got to give it to them.
I'm going to offer him a job.
There you go.
Yeah.
Are you really?
No. I'd like to talk to him about their filmmaking career, though.
Well, they did a great job. Matt, Barbara, thank you so much, as always. A lot of great commercials this year. And still to come, weight loss tips if you snacked a little too much during the big game. But first, this is Today on NBC. We'll be back after.
I didn't hear who's.
And still to come, one of the stars of Super Bowl 43 talks about his biggest personal regret, Matt.
Plus, the power brokers of Washington will go inside President Obama's Go Team after your local news and weather.